welcome to the second and final review of the evening. Not used to that since we usually do 3 a pop, but there's a reason why we are only doing 2 this week, and it is this game, Wings of Change. Winds of Change. Okay, so this game is a hybrid of a point-and-click adventure game and visual novel. Or at least that's what they advertise it as. I mean, like, it's technically point-and-click, but it's not really cast in the mold of what you think a point-and-click adventure game is. Like, all the point-and-click stuff doesn't really... it's interface stuff. You're not solving puzzles in the environments or anything like that. I mean, like the most you're doing is maybe finding world building books in areas. Like, so it's really just a visual novel. It's just the marketing of this is like it's some grand hybrid of adventure game and visual novel. It really isn't. And by the way, it's not even like Ace Attorney level in that regard. You know, where you actually explore the environment and find items that were pertinent to the case. And as I understand it, Winds of Change is a sequel to a game called Major Minor.
Yeah, it's at least a semi-sequel. It's got a lot of stuff in common.
Yeah.
Or at least is setting stuff.
Yeah. I gotta admit, I do not know how much of a connection there is between the two games because I've never played the first game.
Neither have I, but I've read a Let's Play of it, and oh boy.
I suppose the other thing to be upfront about is the art style. So, this is a game of furries. Oh god. Like...
It is a game of furries, a furry game, you might say.
Yeah. I mean, you're dealing with full-on anthropomorphized animals.
Yep.
Whole way through. So, and I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, let's say. But it's not a furry fetish game either. I'm not sure if there's a storyline significance for the fact that you're dealing with walking and talking animals. A full disclosure, I didn't have enough time to get through the entirety of this game, like even a straight run. And this game is built for multiple runs because one of the systems that the game employs is, well, basically a morality system. A binary one at that. I mean, they don't quite call it that, but, it's purity and corruption, so it's about as close as you can get. And, obviously those two states play into how things play out, how not just the ending plays out, but how the story in general flows, because they are based off of major decisions. Yeah. And I'm guessing there's about 10 of them because, like, each one of those decisions adds 10% to your meter.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I ended my last playthrough at the next big choice. But that's not the only system that's in this game. There's the morale system. Admittedly, I'm not sure how that one actually plays out because a lot of that was just manipulated by the story. Let's just say this game, bad things will happen in this game that will affect your morale, and you don't have any control over it. At least there didn't seem to be any control over it.
Yeah.
And let's see, there's the romance system. Like, while this game isn't like sexual or anything like that, you do have multiple romance options, and also worth noting, the Seer of Valinor can be either gender. No options for like non-binary or anything like that, but you know, I guess in simpler terms, this game can get pretty gay pretty quickly, at least on the male side, because bit of a sausage fest here. Not gonna lie, like this game has out of its major.
Hey, there's at least one female character on the Steam page or something.
Yeah, it has the one female character in terms of major characters. Not the only female you'll see, but the only one that really matters is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. The only one that's really in the romance option set. Mm-hmm. Once again, you can still have that be the gay option, but it's in terms of male to female ratio, very imbalanced to the male side. I suppose, noting that, I suppose it might make sense because, this is about war and shit, but it's like if you're, it's like...
It doesn't have to.
I know. Like, there's no great reason given for why 5 of the 6 characters, or at least, like, how do I put this? I'm trying to think. There is another option, but can't really talk about them because it's a bit of a spoiler.
Oh man, you can romance the villain or something.
It's weird. Let's just say this.
I mean, is it weirder than romancing the goddess who's been dead for 1,000 years and only lives in your head?
It's about along those lines, actually.
Okay.
I'm like I said, it's a spoiler, so I can't really talk about it.
Yeah, technically what I just said was a spoiler, but it's for a different game, so...
Yeah, I'm like, but this is a spoiler.
I know.
It's like, it's interesting, but really fucking weird as well. Anyway, also worth noting is the 10,000 conversation systems that are going on in the game. This is a series that's really very prideful on its dialogue. Much.
That's one of the things that I knew to expect, because this is one of those authors who generally belongs to the school of never saying with 10 words what he could say with 100.
Yeah, it's a problem, I'm not going to lie. Especially since a lot of stuff gets inferred well before the characters get wind of it. Mm-hmm. Also, there are scenarios where there are characters who know shit but don't know shit, but they repeat the shit that we, the audience, learned. And you don't fucking skip that.
Which to some extent can be useful in games with complicated stories to help you remember it. But it helps if there's a mnemonic or a meaning to it other than just saying the same thing over and over again.
I mean, there was a meaning to some of it, but other times it was just catching the characters up to speed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a game that and it's also worth noting, this is just the main lines of dialogue, because there's, like I said, there's about 4 layers here. You got your storyline dialogue. No, 5 actually. Okay, you got storyline. You've got the heart-to-heart talks, which is basically, your potentially romance option branches. You've got the group talk, where the supporting characters will banter among themselves. Mm-hmm. You've got the parallel focus. It's like, where shit is going down outside of the view of the party, either with a supporting character or an antagonist character. And you've got the the point and click stuff, where you can click on stuff and the characters will remark on that. There's a lot of talking systems here. Mm-hmm. I mean, does it feel overwhelming? Actually, no, because it's all unique. And a lot of it's actually kept short.
Yeah.
But like the group talks and the parallel stuff, I never felt that shit went on for a long time. And in general, the game is talky, but not overbearingly so, because this is a how do I put this? This is a grander sort of visual novel than we typically review.
Mm-hmm.
Like, visual novels tend to be very narrow in their focus. This, well, it's building itself as like the Mass Effect of visual novels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've reached that kind of goal, but it's definitely got a scope that's outside the norm in terms of visual novels. Because
even with the same being from the same group and creator, that they like telling big grandiose stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how successful is it? I'd say fairly successful. Like, also kudos for creating it's a very alien world.
Mm-hmm.
The world of Celestia, where you are fighting against a group called the Triumvirate.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say that this game doesn't actually understand what a Triumvirate is.
You mean it's not 3 people that are in charge of a thing?
No, it's 3 people who are equally in charge of a thing. A Triumvirate would not have a master. It would have, there's a lot.
I guess that's an important distinction.
Yeah, it's like it's a minor thing, but it's something I noted because there's apparently the head of the Triumvirate, the actual Triumvirates of Rome, they were of equal power.
And that was the point.
Yes.
So that there was not one person who was in charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at the best of times, this is actually like one mind speaking as 3. But as you go through the game, you learn that there's more going on with the Triumvirate. There's a lot going on with the world that isn't initially spoken about. And it's all very epic in scope, and you've got to make world-changing decisions, and also dealing with your nature as the Seer of Valinor. I could talk more about that, but once again, that'd be getting into spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and none of us got far enough to know anything about the ending, or how plot resolves.
Yes. Let's see. Outside of the art style, the artwork is pretty top notch.
Yeah.
That's one of the good things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not just about this specifically, but actually, I would say in general with a lot of furry stuff, they generally put in the work on their art.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The music is fairly typical fantasy stuff. Ranging from the epic tracks at the epic times, and the quieter stuff. It's like a quiet flute when you're in the when you're in the foresty home area. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but it's a decent enough soundtrack. I'm not sure if I would recommend it outside of the game, but that is an option. That gets to price. Also worth noting, this game is fully voice acted. Fairly professional stuff as well. Like, how well it's pulled off kind of depends on the character.
Yeah.
I felt some characters were more in tune with actually understanding what emotions are in their voice work than others, let's say.
I agree.
I'm like, looking at you, Valessa.
Uh-huh.
But outside of that, tip-top stuff. Winds of Change clocks in at regular price of $20. It's got the deluxe edition with the soundtrack at $28.48, and the soundtrack is a separate download at $10. And you've also got the Winds of Change deluxe edition plus Major Minor, which is clocking in currently at, I think this is a deeper sale than what they're shooting for, because it's usually $50, but right now it's 49% off at $25.57. honestly, out of the options that are currently available at time of recording, I'd go with the double visual novel deal.
At the very least, you could see how much the writing has apparently improved from Major Minor, because Major Minor apparently was all over the place. So.
Yeah. Once again, can't really speak about Major Minor because didn't play that one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just all of my knowledge about this game has been filtered through people who have had experiences with Major Minor, so...
Yeah, you do also get the soundtrack with the deluxe edition double bundle. So, no worries. Like I said, that's definitely the one you should get right now. Though if it goes back to 50, I'd say hold off. As far as this game goes, as a purchase independently, $20 is a fair price for what you get here. Like, we've reviewed games, other visual novels on this kind of level, and have cost more. I can think of some Manga Gamer stuff that we reviewed that clocked in at $30. That, and that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of production value. So the price is good. It's like, as far as a visual novel itself, I actually quite like this.
So did I. I'm mad I didn't get further.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I'm curious if they actually managed to pull off a successful ending to their epic storytelling.
That's kind of the thing I couldn't tell you because once again, it's you typically don't get enough time to finish a visual novel that takes 30 hours.
Yeah.
Welcome to adulthood.
Yep.
Anyway, still, I guess if I had to put a number on it, 8 out of 10.
I agree.
It's one of the better visual novels I've played for this show.
Same here.
Which is not something I was expecting going in. So, kudos there. Right, so that'll about do it for not just this review, but the review session. And coming up on the week ahead, on September 11th, we will be talking to Michael Herman of RetroStuff Studios. Let's see, a bit of a programming note. I think both guests this week wanted to use Discord, so be prepared for that. I'll probably post a reminder, especially since not everyone is here to hear the message. But, yeah, Retromania is developing a title called Retromania Wrestling. They are billing it as a spiritual successor to the 1991 arcade classic WrestleFest, coming to the PC.
That's more obscure than normal choice, I think.
It depends on how you look at it.
Fair enough.
I'm like, in terms of wrestling, it's actually fairly notable. WrestleFest was kind of the arcade wrestling game. This is not knowledge I often talk about, but I do know quite a bit about wrestling games, at least from back in this era. I definitely remember playing. I'm not sure if it was WrestleFest or it was the previous one, but I definitely remember playing this game in the arcade back in the day. And this game is aiming to be a spiritual successor. Nothing to do with the current day WWE. I think it's using independent wrestlers. More on that on Wednesday. And coming up on Friday, September 13th. We have another Friday show. We will be having Thias Willer of Joy Masher. Joy Masher, they are the developers of Blazing Chrome. We did a review of this game, last month?
Something like that?
Anyway, if you missed the review, this is a run and gun shooting game where it's basically the best Contra game you'll play that isn't Contra. And we'll be getting development insights on the creation of said game. I'm looking forward to this because I quite enjoyed Blazing Chrome. And that's coming up on the week ahead. So until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.